Welcome Kara Salazar and Riley Hutcherson. They are both really in-depth into the influencer marketing world, and so they have a lot to pull from as far as what it could be like for y'all on your future career paths. I'd love to start with just an introduction of how you've gotten to where you are in your career and where you come from.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Kara. I lead our influencer marketing program at Southwest Airlines. It's crazy because I've been in this space for about 9 years now. I actually studied journalism in college, but my senior year didn't want to do it, so my capstone professor let me do a social focus capstone instead of journalism. And I started I interned for a small social media agency, and kind of my career took off from there. I worked at Sally Beauty doing organic social and influencer for a few years, went over to European Wax Center, did social and influencer for a few years, and then finally I've been at Southwest for about 4 years, and they hired me to do influencer. Yeah, and it's been great ever since.
Amazing. Well, hello, everybody. I'll look at all of you. Hi, I'm Riley. I am the head of short form content for TBNR Productions. You might know us more as the talent Preston Plays and Brianna Arsemet. We're a production company, but we mainly create content for 7 talent, the biggest ones being Preston and Bree. If you guys know, it's gaming videos, Minecraft videos. And I started out, I'm originally from California, started out doing like the production cycles in LA, working as a freelance producer on every project imaginable that just all over the city. And then COVID and the writer's strike was happening, so I moved out to Dallas and found an amazing job with Preston and Brianna. And I have kind of worked my way through the company. I've worked in a lot of different roles. Right now I'm head of short form content, which means I am the creative director behind any piece of vertical content that you will see on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, Facebook. We're on every platform. So if you ever see vertical content with 2 of them in it, I am behind the camera. So,
Okay, so just to get going with our questions, as the leader of influencer marketing for Southwest, one of the most recognizable brands across the country, how do you go about the process of finding the different creators that align with your brand? And how do you kind of go about that interaction?
Yeah, I mean, thankfully since I started working there, we've created for us, having a relationship with influencers is really important. Like, it is a partnership. So we have a big pool of people that we worked with over the years, but then also we have a platform that we use called Later, and that helps us with discovery. So obviously, depending on what the campaign goals are, for example, we had one a couple months ago where we were trying to get rapid reward signups. So and in certain areas, so we'll look at influencer demographics. So where is their audience base is super important. Obviously, their engagement rate, because you want someone who has an engaged audience. And for us, size, yes, their following can matter, but for us, it's quality, not quantity in certain situations. So kind of looking at that and then going from there. But honestly, I've been in the space for so long, so sometimes I can just see an influencer and know if their vibe fits our brand. Because I think you also want to work with someone who really reflects your brand values. They don't necessarily have to always use your brand, because we're okay with people who have never flown Southwest before, because we want them to have that experience. But if they know Southwest, they love Southwest, it's a plus. But yeah, kind of depending on what the campaign is, we'll look at different things. But yeah, demographics are super important, engagement rate is super important, and that's probably and vibes, very important, yeah.
And that's all kind of measured through Later?
Yeah, so when we run campaigns internally, we run it through Later, or we also have an agency we work with, who thankfully they'll do all the hard work for me, and they'll kind of pull in all the reporting and stuff like that. But the tool is super great because, like I said, I've been doing this for 9 years. I used to have to do everything, pull everything manually, ask for screenshots, Excel sheets, things like that. But thankfully with the platform, it pulls in the post, and there's a beautiful dashboard, and I'm just able to type in the numbers, and we're good to go. Yeah.
All right, so this question is specifically for Riley. what behind the scenes challenges or details do people often overlook when it comes to large scale influencer content production?
That's a great question. I think that they overlook a good amount just because, like, you're on the brand side, I'm on the influencer side. When we get a brand brief, for example, I think that the brand usually assumes, and rightfully so, that Crescent and Bree are doing all of the production themselves, which we have 44 people working at our company. So that is always something that they never really think about and there's a lot of YouTubers and influencers out there who are doing it all themselves, but for the most part, our team takes everything, produces it, and on the large scale side of things, we've done a lot of huge things. We rented out AT&T Stadium and had 50 YouTubers fly in from all around the US to do a big game of hide and seek. So things like that, obviously that takes more than 44 people. We had an external production company, we have 50 talent plus their teams coming in, and then we have to find the right brands and partners to, number one, understand where we're coming from and then what our goal is and how they can be the best partner, aside from just giving us monetary value of just we'll pay for this. We always want to look for longer term partnerships that make more sense than just like a check. That feels like a failure to me if we're just getting a check and then saying goodbye. Like, we want to create longer relationships. But yeah, I think people are always shocked at how big our team is and how like seriously we take the work. When you are working with other YouTubers, it might just be them and an iPhone, and that's great, but we have a whole production company hidden. So
yeah, that was a huge mind-blowing thing to see how your whole team attacks each video production. Like, it's a tight-knit group who is able to just whip everything out, and yeah, you would have no idea based on the final product that there's a whole team behind it.
Yeah, and I think we like that no one has any idea because it makes it feel authentic. Like, you really do feel like Preston is talking to the camera and Brianna's talking to her phone, like doing a Get Ready With Me. You never want to imagine that there's like 10 producers behind there. It makes it more sterile. But I do like when we get to show brands, like, we actually have all of these resources and amazing things and cameras and lights and all these things that we can make just a brand deal become like a longer partnership.
Alright, so for Kara, what does success look like beyond reach or engagement? And how do you know when an influencer partnership really is going to really work?
Yeah, I mean, like, it depends on the campaign goals. We have an awesome marketing strategy team who, they're the ones who give us like our initial brief, and they're like, for example, like I said, we had a Rapid Rewards campaign where sign up was a goal. So for us, seeing like those link clicks and conversions for signing up for our Rapid Rewards program, that was like success to us. Or honestly, for most of our campaigns, brand awareness is really important. So like impressions, I know we said reach, but honestly for us, that's very important. So it just depends, like depending on the campaign, success can look very different. Or sometimes like we're working with one influencer right now where her content is really good. So that's like successful already for us because we have a really good piece of content that we'll be able to use once and maybe in other different places. So even though performance, yes, is important for us, like that really good piece of content, that's successful for us. When I know a partnership works is when they, like you said, like we prefer to have like longer term relationships, even though sometimes maybe because, budgets, we might not be able to sign you for a long-term partnership, but like these influencers or managers or whoever it is, like staying in touch. Maybe we meet every couple months and like see if there's any alignment. But yeah, for us, it's like, one, did their audience resonate with the content that we had them produce? And then also like, do they want to continue like a true relationship where yes, maybe we're not paying them for a year-long contract, but we're at least like trying to work with them multiple times a year. Yeah.
And then when you are managing what is produced by the influencer and your team, how much creative freedom do you allot to the influencer? Because they are,
yeah,
I mean, they produce what they produce on their own.
Yeah, we give a lot of creative freedom. I will say, obviously there's certain situations, like when there's promotions, our legal team is breathing down my neck, making sure, there's terms and conditions and things like that, but I really like want to let there's a reason we're working with that influencer for their content. So we really we give them like key messages, and then we kind of work together to find a happy medium where like it's still authentic to them, but they're able to like infuse our brand in their normal everyday content.
And Riley, so TBNR is constantly doing over-the-top concepts in all their different videos. I love whenever I see a really successful trend, you just start cranking out the content for that specific trend. What is it like being a part of that creative process and keeping up with the heightened level of energy that is in all of his videos and Bree's videos as well?
It's a lot of Celsius and Red Bull,
Yeah, right.
for sure. We have a lot of different teams and a lot of different people that are contributing, so it's not just all me doing all the short form content, which I think is important to note, and it's not just Preston and Brianna as well. It is very collaborative, but we also really capitalize on trends. With our original content, we're producing, I mean, I can't even put a number on it. My team is producing 10 short form pieces of content per month. That's just our originals, not including brand deals and TikToks and all the external stuff. So it's definitely a crazy work environment, but at the end of the day, it is fun, and I'm sure all of you guys are on TikTok laughing at different trends. Like, that is part of my job, is to go and find funny videos on TikTok, send it to my team, have them produce it. So it's not it's a fun job at the end of the day. But when it comes to the brand deals too, those are always like definitely farther out. So we're always thinking about, like you were saying about creative control, how can we make the best brand deal video that it keeps our creative integrity but also genuinely promotes the brand, and that takes a lot more time, I would say, than writing an original video, because we have that, our original videos pretty much on lock. Like, we have a lot of show formats, and we're just having fun with it, making them better. But with those brand deals, we're really treating them like commercials, like mini commercials. How can we make Preston, have a very successful 10 million view video, but then also how can we get the brand to get, $10 million in sales? Made up numbers, but just an example.
No, and I mean, we did it was for a murder mystery video for Preston, and they were sponsored by Drip Drop.
Yeah.
And I remember they had a short script for it that we were supposed to do, and then Preston went on his whole tangent on his own.
Yeah.
And then they were able to use both. So it was just interesting to see how much liberty the influencer has within those campaigns.
Yeah, and it always helps when the influencer actually enjoys the product, like genuinely themselves. We try to go like the outbound approach as well. If Preston loves, he loved like his brand of pants that he was wearing, so we reached out to the pants brand and we were like, hey, our like influencer is wearing this brand every single day for the past 5 years. He's been wearing it. What can we do together to make this a good partnership? Because he doesn't need to lie. He really has worn them every day for the past 5 years. So stuff like that really makes our lives so much easier when it's authentically something we like.
We want to open the floor to our members. If y'all have any immediate questions to ask Kara or Riley, this is your time. I know some of y'all grew up watching Preston.
What is the work-life balance, or what kind of good about
For me, I will say I have an amazing work-life balance. I made it very clear. I will say I'm a little farther in my career, so I probably couldn't, say this on my first job, but I made it very clear to my manager that it's like a big priority for me, especially because before I used to work in organic social, which was like almost 24-hour job. Sometimes it felt like. So now that I'm an influencer, like I do still have influencers who will be texting me at like 9 p.m. at night, but like that's just, some of them have full-time jobs during the day, so I understand like that's like I'll work with them, but generally like I try not to work after like 5 p.m. I'm very like, I try and be a stickler about that, just because it's very important to me.
I need to do that, because I will say I definitely work a lot, but that's also my choice too. Like my team works in office 9 to 5 like any other job, Monday through Friday. But with traveling a lot too, like it's really difficult to, always make sure that the day that you're traveling, you actually do take off, because there's always going to be something going on. But I will say my work-life balance is better than any of my friends in YouTube production. So I have a friend who works for a very large creator who worked 150 hours last week. I don't even know if there are 150 hours in the week. When he said that, I was like, I'm not computing, but there's a lot of big YouTube production companies that never ever stop. They're always on the move, and it's like no work-life balance. So I think mine is pretty good for the industry.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yes. So when it comes to interacting with like the viewer comments and stuff like that, how do you engage with it in the creative process to get that back?
We usually do like a sentiment analysis on all of our posts, just like casually, and then also like there's a range of how serious we take it. I would say most posts though, we're looking through the comments to see, for example, we do a series where Preston drops items through layers of materials to see how strong the material is. Every time we post that, the comment will be like, what should we drop next? Or who should we partner with next, whatever. I'm looking at those comments and I'm getting ideas. We should drop a Labubu next, or we should work with, let's get Arak in the next video. Those comments 100% we're looking at. And then on the brand side, it's a lot of like, we work with MetaQuest, the VR headsets, and we'll say, what's your favorite MetaQuest game? We're looking through to see what is our audience playing, and then how can we take that to MetaQuest and their team and say, hey, our audience commented 100% of them are playing the new Star Wars game, so let's do that. So it's not always, we don't always use it, but I always look at it, so.
And then with that, do you always have a specific call to action at the end of those specific the short form content? And is that kind of just ingrained in Preston and Bree's jargon for the videos? Like, I know I'm gonna have to kind of round out the video in a certain type of way. Is that just automatic, or is that pre-written?
With branded content, it's always pre-written because we want to make sure, like we're saying legally, we want to make sure we get all of the statements right, because I would never want to say like, go buy this in Walmart and then it's actually in Target. So all of that we try to make sure is really, really locked in. In our original content, it's more casual, and it's mainly, we try not to do a CTA in every video because it feels kind of too, like we're asking for too much. But I like to put it in the caption or in the comments, because then if people want to engage with it, they can, and we get like that information.
I also feel like with brand content, I see most of our influencers do kind of like the call to action in their comments, because that kind of helps boost the engagement.
Yeah.
So I will say, I feel like most of them normally try to do that, like at least with our content, yeah.
Have you had, I know like social media and using influencers is relatively new. For those that don't understand the importance of having an influencer in the field, how would you go around and explaining that?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's been my whole journey at Southwest. When I started, I literally had like a budget that was like this tiny, and this is like the first year that finally like marketing is investing heavily in influencers. So it's been literally me like working hard for 3 years trying to prove. So I've always had like great managers who, as soon as you have a campaign, like sharing those results, like making sure they're aware of like the power of influencer. And then also like, I feel like what's really helped our brand, like I said, building relationships is so important. And we've seen a lot of, we call it like free content, where like we give influencers fights and they're posting about us. So we're showing like, hey, this influencer with like, millions of followers posted about flying on Southwest, and look how many views. So like, just trying to like share that up to leadership. So like I said, it's been a long journey, but we're finally at that point where they're like taking this, super seriously, and we're getting that investment that we've been wanting. So it's really just like constantly making sure you have someone who's like championing your program and making sure leadership is aware of, the success and the power of influencers. And I will say too, when we had our major situation a couple holidays ago, that was the most stressful time of our lives. But we had influencers who like spoke to the New York Times, just saying like such great things about us. And I think that moment was so pivotal for our program, because it showed that it goes beyond just their posts. Like it really can help brand sentiment, and increase that in times where it's crazy. So really appreciated that.
what skill would you say would be most important to master when engaging in influencer marketing?
Like engaging with influencers or just
Influencers, the content, whatever it may be.
I think the skill is like, I was telling someone, like, I feel like empathy is so important. Like, these are people, like I said, you really have, like, you're both people in this situation, and you both want different things. Like, you're giving them money because they need it, and then you're giving me a piece of content that our brand needs. And I think also being aware, like, sometimes things happen. Sometimes things happen with the brands, and they might want to, like, drop out of a partnership. Like, you just have to, like, really keep that to ground you, that, like, you're all people, things pop up. Sometimes people miss deadlines and because life happens, and that's okay. So, you know, empathy and just being flexible is really, really important for this job.
I have a question. For anybody sitting here saying they want to do what you do, where should they start?
Internship. That's how, I mean, I did 2 internships. Actually, I interned for Southwest, which there might be some coming up, some postings up in January for Southwest. Keep an eye out. I feel like that really helped get my first job at Sally Beauty, like having that previous experience, because I know people are like, well, I'm in social and like I got my degree in this, but having like actual business experience. And I also like, I was also in a similar, I was in an organization in college and I did social media for them, and also in kind of like a similar group like this as well, and just kind of showing that you're very invested in the space. I feel like really helped me get that first job, showing that experience through internships and then having that additional like experience in the space and doing social for organizations.
And please use us as a resource too. AMA is a platform for you to be able to represent your brand on top of another person's brand, and that's just a really great way for you to gain the experience if that's something that you're interested in doing for your career.
And apply to our chair positions
Yes.
to get that extra experience.
All right.
We have time for one more question.
So did you ever have to end a relationship with an influencer in order to keep the relationship?
Yeah, I've only had to do that maybe like 2 times in my whole career. Like generally, I've had great experiences, but yeah, because the influencer was like misrepresenting our relationship to his social media following. So we just had to write a nicely worded email telling him like, hey, we appreciate all the work we've done together, but unfortunately, like, we can't move forward with you. And there was another situation where there was some like not great news of this influencer that came out. So we also, that one we had to get our legal team involved. So they were the ones that had to end it because we weren't legally allowed to talk to them anymore. Honestly, that was like the most traumatizing experience working in influencer marketing. But yeah, I think, like I said, having like empathy and like realizing they're people too, and sometimes people make mistakes, but you still have to remember we are a brand and we're representing a brand. So like, and with social media, there can be high risk. Like, you guys see like what happens when like influencers walk into a store and something horrible happens and like it blows up. So I think like you really have to handle those situations with grace, and be professional, but also realize they're people too. But it's not a fun part of the job. And thankfully, I've only had to do it twice. Knock on wood. Yeah.
Alright, well, with that, we are gonna move into our raffle giveaway. Thank you so much, Kara and Riley, for donating things to the